Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is going to be episode number 1 of the Championship Roundup. So if you've not seen this series before, basically what we do in this series is we round up all the action that has took place over the course of the weekend in the Championship. So we'll be going over each and every match which took place this weekend, and what I'm really interested to know is what you guys have to say. So make sure you do leave a comment in the comments down below as to what you thought of your side's performance in the opening day of the season. So let me know in the comments down below what you thought of your team. Are you happy with the way your team started the season, or are you a little bit worried now seeing how your team did start the season? But before we do actually get into anything, I will include your guys' comments on screen now. So if any of you guys did successfully manage to predict any of the correct scorelines this weekend, I will include your comment on screen now. So fair play to everyone who did get a scoreline correct this week. I didn't get any of them right, which was pretty disappointing from me, I think it's fair to say, but it was a pretty tough week to predict. You know, the opening weekend of the Championship, I promise I'll improve from here. FIFA also didn't get any right either. Also, let me know in the comments down below, what did you think was the goal of the weekend in the Championship, and what did you think was the result of the weekend? I'll be revealing what I thought they were at the end of the video, but I'd be quite interested to know what you guys had to say. As well as that, how do you think your club will get on in the EFL Cup in midweek? Let me know down below. I won't be doing a score prediction video on that because there'd be too many games to go ahead and go over, but let me know how you think your club will do in midweek. And without further ado, let's get into the action. So the first game we do have to talk over is Nottingham Forest against Millwall. So of course the first kickoff on Friday night was between these two clubs, and it was a bit of a hectic match. I think it's fair to say, of course, Forest in the end leading with the 1-0 victory over Millwall. Was it deserved for Nottingham Forest? I think even Nottingham Forest fans will admit that they got very lucky in this game. How Millwall didn't even get one goal is absolutely beyond me. Watching the highlights after the match, it was a bit of a crazy match. Millwall were hitting the crossbar, they were hitting the post, headers were flying over the bar, and it was pretty hectic, I think it's fair to say, in and around the Nottingham Forest box. They just couldn't get that final touch over the line, Millwall, and they did, to be fair to them, I think they competed very well in this match. They looked like a very direct side, a very strong side as well, I think it's fair to say. For Nottingham Forest, it was Barry Mackay who managed to get the winner for them. What a fantastic strike it was from him on his debut, and if he could do that, you know, week in, week out, he's going to be a very special player for Nottingham Forest. And of course, Millwall also did have a goal disallowed in this game as well, which they were also very unlucky with. Overall, I think it was right. I think it was right for the goal to be ruled out, but I still think they were unlucky with it because you see instances when I thought it was a foul on the goalkeeper, but you do see instances when those decisions aren't given. So in that aspect, they've got a little bit unlucky, but I thought it was the right call to rule it out. Then the next Friday night kickoff was the game taking place between Sunderland and Derby County, and once again, quite a lively affair actually this one. It was Derby who actually took the lead, sort of against the run of play actually, with a goal from Bradley Johnson, and Sunderland's defending for the first Derby goal really isn't anything to be proud of. Jason Steele as well in the opening, I'd say 20-25 minutes, was looking a little bit shaky in this match. He did also fumble a long shot soon. After that though, he did seem to slowly get his composure back and actually look quite good towards the end of the match. It was Lewis Graben who levelled for Sunderland from the penalty spot. After a bit of a debate going on around whether people thought it was a penalty or not for Sunderland, I did think it was a penalty. I thought it was a pretty clear handball, and he could have probably averted his arm away from it if he really needed to. So for me, it was a handball, and it was the right decision to give a penalty, and Graben dispatched it very well. Derby did have some massive chances to go ahead and win the game. I know Chris Martin squandered a fantastic opportunity when he was put through on goal. David Nugent as well had a very good chance. They just couldn't finish their chances. Sunderland did have a couple of other opportunities as well. Aidan McGeady was looking quite lively for them. I'm looking forward to seeing what else he can do in a Sunderland shirt, but overall 1-1 was probably fair. The next game to go over was that between Bristol City and Barnsley now. So into the Saturday kickoffs, and Bristol City have got off to an absolutely tremendous start to this season. Now in the opening 10 minutes or so, this one did look like it would be a bit of an even game. I think both sides did actually hit the crossbar quite early on in this game, so it was on a knife edge early on, but Bristol City after that absolutely put their foot down and really took this game to Barnsley. It was Bobby Reid who was definitely the man of the match in this one. He was involved in all of the goals, scoring 2 and setting up 1. He was absolutely terrific in this game, and with Bristol City going forward in this one, Barnsley really just couldn't seem to cope with them. They were pretty much second best to everything in this game, Barnsley. They did manage to get a consolation goal late on, and it was actually quite a well-worked goal. I'll give them credit for that, but overall, Bristol City have a very good start to the season. The next game was then between Burton Albion and Cardiff City. So this one, the first half after this one did actually end 0-0, so it looked to be going towards, this one did look a little bit cagey. Burton Albion setting up quite a defensive plan actually. They were looking to keep quite solid in this one, keep the clean sheet and get their first point of the season. That wasn't to be the case though, as in the 87th minute, Kenneth Zahore managed to pop up with a fantastic strike into the bottom corner from like 20-25 yards out. It was an absolutely tremendous strike from him, and that actually won the game for Cardiff in the end. Burton Albion, I thought for large majorities of the game, pretty much the majority of it actually, they defended their box very well. You could see they were going into this with quite a defensive mentality, which did come back to haunt them in the end, as going forward Burton didn't really seem to offer much. I don't think they had a shot on target in this game, so that's something that they'll need to address going forward in this transfer window, I'm sure. But overall, Cardiff getting off to a good start this year. The next game to talk over was the one taking place between Fulham and Norwich City. A game filled with drama, this one, and actually quite a good one for the spectacle. It was actually a very entertaining game, in my opinion, and it was Fulham who took the lead in this one, thanks to a Russell Martin own goal. Norwich a little bit unfortunate with their own goal, but Fulham in this one, they really were at one point going in at Norwich, and they were quite wasteful of some of their chances, actually. I think that, I don't think we've seen the best so far this season of both Fulham and Norwich. I think throughout the season, they're both going to get better, and pretty much I think they both need to sharpen up a little bit on their final product. I know Mally Watkins had a couple of chances in this one that on another day he probably would have put into the back of the net, and Fulham definitely had quite a few chances they actually squandered. They had quite a few which went over the bar and just curled wide of the post, but it was late on in the 88th minute when Nelson Oliveira got the equaliser. It was the two substitutes which combined for Norwich, both Wes Hoolahan and Nelson Oliveira with the goal, and that ball through from Wes Hoolahan was absolutely sublime. I've seen people giving a lot of credit for Oliveira for the goal because it was a good goal, but that ball through from Wes Hoolahan was something else. But I've seen the replay of the goal and I'm still not convinced whether he was on or offside. It literally is on a knife edge. It's so tight to see and it really is quite hard to call. Honestly, if I had to call it, I would say Oliveira was slightly offside, but I'm sure Norwich fans won't care about that, as it was a great finish in the end and a good celebration in my opinion as well. The next game was between Ipswich Town and Birmingham City, and in my preview of this game I did say that I thought it would end 0-0, as to my knowledge Joe Garner was actually injured for this game, as he did pick up a knock late on in pre-season, but to my surprise actually he was back for this game and in the end he scored the match winner for Ipswich Town. So fair play to Joe Garner. Honestly, I do hope to see him do well. You know, myself being a Preston fan, there is something still in my heart for Joe Garner. You know, he was just brilliant for Preston and I absolutely loved him. But Ipswich fans, how many goals do you actually see Joe Garner scoring this season? Let me know down below, because the goal he actually scored in this one was actually a tremendous finish from him, so fair play to him if he does manage to do it in the Championship this time. I thought it was pretty obvious that Birmingham are still lacking in options going forward. They looked a little bit limp going forward in this one. They didn't really test Ipswich that much, and overall it wasn't the best game of the weekend, but Garner popping up with a winner for Ipswich. The next game was between my club Preston North End and Sheffield Wednesday, and in the end Preston managed to take full advantage on the first day of the season with a 1-0 victory, and honestly this result was absolutely warranted from Preston. Like Alex Neil said at the end of the game, really, the only disappointing thing was that it wasn't actually more than 1-0, because Preston were by far the superior team in this game, and when the actual teams came out, I was a little bit nervous. I think it's fair to say, you know, Wednesday got players going forward like Jordan Rhodes, Forestieri, Adam Reach, players like Ross Wallace on the bench and Gary Hooper, but Preston North End's back four more than dealt with them in this one. You know, both Paul Huntington and Tommy Spur were absolutely tremendous at centre-back, and Cunningham and Fisher at full-back fullbacks were absolutely sublime. The link-up play in this game between Callum Robinson and Greg Cunningham on the left-hand side was honestly something else, and it did take a penalty for Preston to break the deadlock with Daniel Johnson, but it was a very well-dispatched penalty, and the game-changing moment in this game I felt like was when Alex Neil brought Jordan Hugill on. Sheffield Wednesday just couldn't seem to deal with his physicality. He of course won the penalty in the end. He actually did get a second goal in this one, but that was actually ruled out for handball. And Preston North End were just absolutely excellent in this game, but I'd say the most surprising thing about this game really was just how poor Sheffield Wednesday were. I couldn't believe it. Looking at their lineup, it's gifted with abundances of talent, but they just couldn't seem to click in this one. They didn't look like they knew what they were doing, to be completely honest. At times they were just playing Route 1 football, which surprised me a little bit, and overall a fantastic start for North End. The next game was the one taking place between QPR and Reading, and in this one I've got to say I have been giving quite a bit of stick towards QPR in the build up to this championship season, but in this one, fair play to QPR. They absolutely turned it on for this one, and Connor Washington, what a game he had in this one, scoring both goals for QPR, the second of which being a penalty, and I think it's fair to say Reading were definitely off the pace in this one, and not something that I'd expect with Reading really. I thought that Yapstam would really get them well drilled and geared up for the start of the season, but it was Ian Holloway who took full advantage of him. QPR looked quite fast in this one, and Reading really did seem to just make silly mistakes really that you wouldn't normally associate this Reading side with. So it's obviously it's still early on in the season, so you can't read too much into it, but fair play to QPR, an excellent start for them. Then into the next game we do go, we have Sheffield United who came up against Brentford, and in the end it was Sheffield United who took full advantage with the 1-0 victory. It was Billy Sharp in the end who managed to get the only goal of this game, and fair play to them. It looked like a great atmosphere at Bramall Lane, and it is quite nice to have Sheffield United, you know, back in the Championship. They've been in League One for a long time, and they managed to come back up to the Championship with a victory. Brentford, I feel like, would have been a little bit disappointed in this one. They did miss quite a few chances. I know Jota had quite a few opportunities. Vibe missed quite a few chances as well, but overall Sheffield United managed to keep it very tight at the back. I still think there is more to come from Brentford this season, but overall Sheffield United can be very pleased with that first performance. Then for the next game we do go, we had two of the big spenders in the Championship this season in both Wolves and Middlesbrough, and I said in my preview to this game that it would be a very difficult one to call, but in the end Wolves, to a lot of people's surprise really, managed to go ahead and grab the 1-0 victory, and once again I thought the atmosphere at Molineux for this one looked absolutely fantastic. It was Bonatini who managed to grab the only goal of this game after quite a silly mistake really from Daniel Ayala. He literally just gave the ball straight to him. After that, Middlesbrough, they weren't the best in this game. I still don't think we've seen the best of either of these two sides really. I still think with a lot of new players coming into both of them, we will see the best of them in the next probably 2 or 3 months, but Middlesbrough did miss quite a few opportunities. Braithwaite had a very good opportunity that he put wide, and Assombalonga as well had a couple of chances that he just couldn't bury in this one, but Wolves did keep it very tight at the back. I know they were lacking a couple of options going forward into this one, but overall they got the job done in the end, and fair play to them. The next game did take place between Aston Villa and Hull City, and this one actually finished as a 1-1 draw in the end. It was Gabriel Bonlahor who took the lead for Aston Villa very early on in this game after just 7 minutes, straight into the top corner, and I rated his celebration as well. Of course, he showed tribute to Carl Hakimi, wishing him all the best, so I really do rate that from Gabi Agbanlahor, but Aston Villa then after that never were able to capitalise on it and make it 2-0. In the first half I thought that Hull were far from their best really. I thought they were looking quite a bit shaky, but Alan McGregor in net for Hull City I thought had a very good game for them to keep the score at 1-0 in the first half, but in the second half it was Bound with a terrific volley to send Hull City level, and then after that Aston Villa did have quite a few other chances to go ahead and win it. Green missed a ridiculously easy chance. He literally had the whole goal to aim at. He headed it against the ground and it bounced over the bar. I couldn't believe Green missed that opportunity, but in the end it did finish as a 1-1 draw. I thought overall Aston Villa probably did deserve to win it. Scott Hogan had a very good chance as well, but Villa were missing players going forward, so we're yet to see the best of Aston Villa this season, I think it's fair to say. And as well as that, John Terry did make his debut for Aston Villa. I thought he was very solid in this one as well. Fair play to him. And then the final fixture of the Championship, opening weekend was the one between Bolton Wanderers and Leeds United. So in the end, this was actually quite a cracker of a game actually. It did finish 3-2 to Leeds United in the end, and at one point of this game I thought it was going to be an absolute landslide as Leeds were 2-0 up in this game after just 30 minutes. I thought after that they'd just go ahead and put the knife in, but credit to Bolton Wanderers, they did get back into the game with Gary Medine, and I'm giving Gary Medine a bit of stick. You know, he's already played in the Championship a bit before, not really had the greatest of impacts, but in this one he was actually quite central to a lot of the play that Bolton were doing. They were quite direct in this game, and Gary Medine I thought overall had a very good game. And obviously they have lost their first game of the season, but albeit it is to a very good Leeds United side. If they can keep Medine and Lafondra fit this season, who knows what is possible for a team like Bolton. But Chris Wood, of course, back on the goal scoring sheet. It didn't take him long, only 30 minutes for him to get his first goal this season, but it was Phillips in this one for Leeds who definitely stole the show, and I'm looking forward to seeing more Leeds this season as they could be a force this year. So guys, there were all the fixtures that took place on the opening weekend of the Championship. I will quickly show you what the Championship table is currently looking like. So obviously, as you can see there, we've got Bristol City and QPR currently occupying the top two. Not that it means anything at the moment. And then in the bottom three, we've got Sheffield Wednesday, Barnsley and Reading. So after your first performance of the season, how do you think your guys' teams will do this season? Let me know down below. So in terms of my goal of the weekend, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Barry Mackay for his goal against Millwall. There are a couple of other contenders. I know Kenneth Zahore definitely within a shout of getting the goal of the weekend. Quite a few other contenders as well with some very good goals, but Barry Mackay's goal against Millwall was something else. A terrific strike from him, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of him this season actually. And then my result of the weekend, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Preston North End for beating Sheffield Wednesday by 1-0. Once again, there are quite a few other results which I could give this one to, but overall I thought Preston's performance really did warrant it. Coming up against a very talented team in Sheffield Wednesday, and we just made them look average in the end really. They were far off the pace in this one, and Preston took full advantage. So there you guys have it for the first episode of the Championship Roundup, guys. So like I said at the start of the video, make sure you do leave a comment in the comments down below as to what you thought of your team's performance. As well as that, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, thank you so much for all the support you guys showed on the last video. It's got something crazy like over 500 likes now, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. So thank you so much for that. But as well as that, make sure you do subscribe for regular Championship content. As well as that, check out all of the links in the description down below. But apart from that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.